I really like Amy Rose. Recently, I've seen a lot of discussion about her characterization, her stories, personality, character traits, and a bunch of other things that I personally do not have an interest in covering within this video. What I am here to talk about is her gameplay. Amy made her first playable appearance in the mainline series with 1999 Sonic Adventure. In this game, Amy is given her own portion of the game spanning a grand total of 3 whole levels long, the least amount out of everyone in the game. Ignoring that, her gameplay is different. Amy has the ability to use her Pico Hammer to gain access to higher altitudes, kind of like Luigi in the Super Mario Bros. Games. Amy's gameplay to me feels very reminiscent of a gymnast of sorts. The main draw to her gameplay is her ability to maintain her speed while flipping over enemies with grace. Her role in this campaign is entirely dedicated to protecting this bird that she met while wandering about Station Square. As part of her bodyguard duties, she must defend the bird from one of Eggman's robots named Zero. Amy's gameplay features very basic puzzle solving differences. Some difference in camera angles to help sell the feeling of being chased by an unstoppable force, an immovable object who can unfortunately be thwarted by just a single swing of her hammer. But ignoring that glaring issue, I think Amy's section in Sonic Adventure is very memorable to me because of how different it is. Ignoring Big the Cat, I think that one of Sonic Adventure's greatest strengths is that every character section feels different from one another, allowing for every character to receive their own shine in some way, shape, or form. Amy still gets to have very few moments of an increased speed in this action adventure platformer. Her levels have the advantage of not having an absurd ability to skip a vast majority of the level design that Sonic and Tails have. And don't get it twisted, most of my enjoyment of her gameplay comes from stringing together her hammer launches to cross large gaps, find what section of a small area would give me the most optimal distance. Those two are very fun to me. I mentioned earlier at the start of this video that I think one of the greatest strengths about Sonic Adventure is that every character feels different. Amy might not be as fast as Sonic, but she got the hops to make up for it. In fact, Amy got hops so great, you might want to ask, why is she in this game and why isn't she in the league? Lakers need a center. I think we could put Amy Rose in there. She could probably get Braun another ring. Low key, if she locks in, she can get Braun another ring. Y'all have seen the Olympic game shit. That bitch got hops. Tails can fly, Knuckles can glide, and everyone's section in this game are designed with that in mind. In later appearances, Amy unfortunately feels very out of place. Primarily her appearance in Sonic 06 and Sonic Advance. She feels like I don't want to say easy mode, but it's like, what other word do I have for this? She's also one of the worst characters in both of those games because she lacks a lot of the same movement options that the others have. I think that's the issue when you take a character that is supposed to play differently from the other cast members and just throw them into some playground. In 2023, Sonic Team graced us with The Final Horizon, a DLC expansion to Sonic Frontiers that saw the return of Tails, Knuckles, and Amy for the very first time since Sonic 06. And while it is great to see them return for so long, I feel like everyone was neutered to a certain extent. Let me explain. As I mentioned earlier in the video, one of the strengths that I feel Amy has was her acrobatics. Despite the fact that she's the slowest of the cast, she still has to follow the same philosophy of maintaining your speed. In Sonic Frontiers, everyone has the boost gauge, the spin dash, along with the Psyloop Infinity Boost. Oh, well, they gave her some new moves. Amy utilizes her tarot cards that I'm assuming right before they got on the plane with Tails, she just found laying around her desk or something. Maybe was in the closet. Maybe Blaze was there. I remember during the release of this update, tons and tons of people complained about the tarot cards replacing her hammer. And while it is a bit jarring to see her hammer take more of a back seat in her overall gameplay and animations, only really being seen in a few of her moves, that's not the issue with Amy. At least that's not the issue I have with Amy. My issue is that she's been homogenized. As much as I have issues with Sonic Frontiers, I will admit that the best part of that game is the open world's ability to make you feel like you are playing a Sonic game. One of the greatest strengths of Sonic Frontiers is that it is the closest thing the franchise has ever gotten to having the CD intro be playable. The whole beginning portions of the Sonic boom blasting in the background, or Tutu Sonic Warrior of him using the terrain as a way to keep his speed moving onwards, along with completing great platform challenges and crossing gaps. It's both exhilarating and enjoyable. In fact, sometimes I'll open the game just to run around for a few minutes. It has that similar appeal to driving around at high speeds in GTA 5 to make the comparison. However, I feel as if Amy has really nothing going for her that helps her stand apart from both Knuckles and Tails. All three feature slightly different modes of combat, abilities, and skill sets, but it ultimately does not matter. Remember that playground analogy? Imagine that set to 10. If we ignore the small platforming challenges, all three characters can achieve the same things. Tails has a tornado that ultimately trivializes any form of platforming. This is a huge issue in the high-speed action-adventure platformer, for obvious reasons, especially since you get it so early and it moves at an incredible speed. Upon getting Knuckles' upgrade, his glide can allow you to never lose altitude. Basically, Gary's mod no clip. And what does Amy have? Well, she has that bit of athleticism along with an ability to glide, but she's just outclassed. Knuckles has his combat-focused gameplay that gives him a slight identity, especially with Sonic Frontiers having a return of a combat system sorts. Tails has a projectile that he throws, even if I think that shit sucks donkey duck doo-doo garbage, DDG. I'm geeking. I'm on a whole nother reason. Can I even name 5 DDG songs? I'm geeking. Riz, Pink Dreads, Moonwalking to Calabasas. I already said I'm geeking. Fuck. Hold on. This bit is important. We gotta hit that watch timer. Moonwalking to Calabasas. I'm geeking. Riz, Pink Dreads. Fuck. That's 4. Fuck. Anyways, I'm sure that someone who has a billion hours on Sonic Frontiers can tell you the very specific scenario in which Amy is super useful, but I don't think that's enough. Part of this issue is definitely caused by none of the playable characters having cyberspace stages, levels that are specifically built with their gameplay styles in mind within a closed environment. Yes, this issue only really exists because Sonic Frontiers was a messy love child, but I want to point out what I think is wrong about that direction and make suggestions on how it can be corrected in the future. I think about Sonic Adventure having the restraint not to give everyone the homing attack was brilliant. I think characters should have things that only specifically they can do. Tails is flying, Knuckles is gliding, wall climbing, and digging have both been associated with the characters since their inception. So what do we have with Amy? Well, she can't just be Sonic with less abilities, she has to do something specific with her. So let me make a pitch. Have y'all ever played a game like that's called Mario, where he travels through galaxies and has a tool in a box? So introducing this Cloud Mario power-up that allows for Mario to create temporary platforms. Now, in this hypothetical game design pitch, let's combine both of these assets. Both Amy's traits being her card and hammer, if we combine these into a moveset, I believe that Amy should retain her flips and tumbles from her Pico Hammer with the added ability to throw a tarot card, each Arcana having its own properties. Let's say one could give her a speed boost, one card could give her a crazy bounce, another card that can turn her into a speeding bullet, kind of like the card abilities that are within Neon White. But watch out, overusing the cards can increase the appearance of the Arcana. I don't know what it would do, I'm being real, but I don't know, let it be a drawback to spamming that ability or a consequence of overusing it. But I just think a standalone pitch like that will give Amy a unique identity. Of course, this would require Sonic Team to redesign the levels with her abilities in mind, but I think Sonic Frontiers 2, or whatever the game is called, if this cast of characters is a return, I think they should be given their own levels or worlds to run around in, but I don't know. I'm just doing it on YouTube. But I do believe that there is a potential world in which Amy Rose can be very fun to be played as within her own respective right. And hopefully Sonic Team is able to achieve that dream in some way, shape, or form. Will they? I don't know, nigga. Am I going to win $1 million in 15 minutes? You tell me.